Well, hi, Seimone. Congratulations on being inducted in the Women's Hall of Fame for this class of 2024. I'm sure you were honored. So take me through your emotions of when you found out that you were getting inducted.
I mean, it's a range of emotions. I feel like I just ended my playing career, and now you're entering into your next phase of life, and it's like you immediately getting honored for everything that you've done thus far. So it was, excitement, obviously, honor, everything that you could imagine. Like those emotions just kind of rushed over me.
Yeah. And can you tell me about what you were doing when you got the call? Who made the call? How did you find out? What was going on?
To be honest, I don't remember. I think I just kind of, blanked out when I got the call, and after that, I just remember they were going through everything, telling us when it was going to be announced and so on and so forth, and I was just kind of sitting still, still in awe at the fact that it was happening and it was happening so quickly. But I don't remember all the intricate details leading up to it. Just when it happened, I almost I just blanked out,
Yeah, I get it. Well, obviously it takes a lot to get here. So can you talk to me about your journey in basketball? When did you first pick up a basketball and know that it was your love?
I picked up the ball at 5. I didn't know it was my love at the time. It was just something that I enjoyed doing and something that I just kept coming back to. It was better than the other sports, and I was already naturally more gifted at basketball than some of the other things that I gravitated to. And I just kept working at it. I remember my first game where I kind of got embarrassed because I couldn't shoot or dribble as well as some of the other kids. And I went over to my dad, and he was just like, well, if you want to be better, you got to practice. And so from that day forward, he was a basketball coach. So whenever he would go to coach his guys, I would be in the gym, and they'll show me little things to do and how to do this, how to shoot, how to dribble. And I just progressively got better. And the better I got, the more confident I got. There was no girls teams at the time, so I played on a co-ed team, mostly boys. And when I started beating up on the boys, that's when it really got exciting for me because, it's just a level of competition that's always going to be there when you think about a female playing with mostly boys. And so that really motivated me just to see the excitement for some of the guys that was like, oh, wow, look at this girl playing ball. And then some of them man, she beat me on the, those emotions and the excitement around that just kind of fueled me and kept me going,
And when thinking about your journey, you finally realized, okay, this is something I want to continue doing. Who along the way inspired you, whether that's from the very beginning or they started inspiring you during your career?
I mean, you got to think, I came up during a time when there wasn't no WNBA. So the first poster I can think of that I had on my wall was the U.S. national team, the 96 national team. So it was literally those group of women. I placed it on my wall, and I'm I'm going to be there one day. And from that day forward, I just kept working. And then as time went on in the WNBA farm, so now I actually have a vision. They say to be it, you have to see it. And so I remember going to my first W game. It was the Houston Comets versus the Washington Mystics when Shamiko Holswell was on the Mystics. And we didn't have good seats. We was way in the nosebleed. You had to watch the game on the Jumbotron, but I got to see these women doing the very thing that I wanted to do. They were amazing. And I'm I'm gonna be there one day. I'm gonna be right in this gym. I'm gonna be playing with Cynthia Cooper. I'm gonna be playing with all these women. And I think that was the motivating factor, to be able to see a woman doing the same thing I was doing and doing it so gracefully, just really motivated me.
Absolutely. And when thinking about how basketball evolved, you mentioned the WNBA not being a thing until later, and that's how you ended up getting involved. But when thinking about the involvement, what does it mean to you to see where basketball is today?
It means a lot. I mean, as a young girl that initially only had a dream of being on the Olympic team, to then having a vision of being on some WNBA team someday, to then being the one helping pave the way for the next generation, and to see now, Paige Beskers, Caitlin Clark, Juju Wiley, you can name all the wonderful players that are just elevating this game to a new level. That's what you hope to see. I literally thought it was going to be 10, 20 years from now, but it was almost immediately. I've only been removed from the sport for 4 years, and the growth of the game and the visibility of the game is through the roof. And so it's all my hard work paid off. You know, all of the hard work, because you got to think of a lot of legendary players didn't get to see that happen right away, and thankfully some of them are still here with us today, and they're actually getting their flowers, and they're also getting to enjoy and experience this as well.
For sure. And one thing that's big about you, Seimone, is inspiration, to be an inspiration. Talk to me about why you yourself love to inspire young girls that might want to follow your path or anyone else's.
I mean, when you think about just basketball, historically we're seeing a decline in the game. And so it's always been like, all right, we got to keep girls, you know, wanting to compete, wanting to be in sports. Whether it's basketball or any other sport, it's just like you have to be active, because sports have so many wonderful things that it adds to your life, as far as learning how to communicate, gaining your voice, gaining confidence, learning how to lead, learning how to follow, learning how to work well with others. It has so many things that then applies to the real world, even if you don't go off and become a professional. So it's like, you know, let's show these girls what powerful women look like. Because sports literally puts you in that position. Like, you're in a stance of being, you have to be confident when you go on the court. You have to exude some type of energy, some type of something that is going to attract other people to you, or maybe bring something out of you or someone else. And so that's why I've always, you know, wanted to be some type of inspiration. When I step on the court, I had that mindset like Kobe. His wife was like, Kobe would be hurt, his back, his head, whatever was going on with him. He was like, but somebody paid good money, good hard working money to come here and see me play. And I wanted to make sure that I was always available, no matter what my body felt like, what my mind felt like, because I didn't know who I would be inspiring to become whatever they're going to become in life.
Yes. And when thinking about these young girls that are potentially looking to get into the WNBA one day, or any sport for that matter, what advice would you give them?
First of all, you have to have confidence in yourself. You got to be yourself. And I say that in many ways, because we all struggle with whatever that identity may be. So be yourself, that's number one. Women have historically, like we always talk about smarts, IQ. You have to continue on that path, be a great student. I know most of myself, my teammates, we all were college graduates, you know, things like that. So that remains the same, because until we start to get equal pay as men, after ball, you may have to go into another career path. I always say, are you a giving person? Because in a team sport, you have to give so much of yourself. You got to sacrifice a little bit of yourself so others can be who they are. And in the midst of that, it's just a beautiful marriage of complexity that goes on in a team sport. So, you know, be a giving person, be a smart person, but also be yourself in the process.
Yeah, great advice. Being someone that came from LSU, obviously there is a lot of light in the past year on the Tigers. What would you say people are just now realizing about that Tiger mentality that you always knew was there?
You just said it. It's a Tiger mentality. It's a dominating type of mindset. And it doesn't matter. Obviously, as you can see, we've won in baseball, women's basketball, gymnastics just recently won. Football is always at the top of that pinnacle. It's just we exude greatness, especially when you talk about sports. We hold ourselves to a very high standard, and we literally accept nothing less, as you can see. So the purple and gold has been known for, we always say, a golden standard. And, you know, that's what I think everyone gets a chance to basically sample or see when they see the Tigers. And
I just asked you about advice for young girls, but now, what advice would you give Angel Reese as she is now entering the WNBA?
It's the same. You know, she came in and she always said, I'm going to be unapologetically myself. And she has been. So you have to continue along that path. But just for her, it's more of a development. Obviously, we all see the development that needs to happen in her game. And I think with her being drafted, I wasn't sure if she thought she was going to be drafted. I'm like, why wouldn't you think you'd be drafted? But now that she's there and she's crossed that threshold, I think she's on the other side and she sees I want to be here and I want to be here for a while. Mm-hmm. And that's the maturity that most players it's a hit or miss with most young players, but I can definitely see her wanting to thrive and you know, when you step into a new market, she left the Bayou, and now she's heading to Chi-Town. And she's like, wow, this is going to be amazing just to be in a big city, a new city, and just kind of recreate myself. So I can't wait to see, you know, her career unfold.
Yes. All right, I'm going to hand you something that I know you have seen time and time again, girl.
Oh, my goodness.
When you're looking at yourself there, you were 15, correct?
Yes, I'm around 14, 15, yeah.
What would you tell that Seimone?
You know, people always say that. And I'm like, I couldn't have told her anything that she didn't already know or, you know, ended up accomplishing. It's funny because this was my first time in Knoxville for this shoot. I remember that day. Didn't know I was going to be on the cover. It was me and my parents, the three. It was me and my parents, and we were just kind of in there. And my dad actually is up on the ladder, so that's why I was like looking up, laughing at him with whatever he was doing. And then the next thing I knew, like Shamika Hoslaw walked in. I didn't know she was going to be there. And so when she walked in, I was like, oh, snap. Like, that was like one of my favorite players in college. Like, everybody said we played alike. You know, our games were similar, our demeanor, everything about her was kind of like, you and her, you're next. And I was just like, wow. But, I mean, 14-year-old me at that point, being labeled the next, you know, is she the next Michael Jordan? I guess it's just the pressures of it, just being able to be strong enough, because at that point I was like an urban legend. Everybody heard about me but never saw me. And so after this, it was just like, oh, that's the girl on the Sports Illustrated. So, you know, just having the confidence to just continue to be yourself, but also know that the haters come.
Yeah.
The haters come.
Absolutely.
And that was something that I had never experienced, like, to that magnitude. And, you know, it kind of took a toll on me at some point, but I was able to bounce back.
Good, good. Well, I'll take it away from you now.
Thank you.
But speaking of your journey and just how you mentioned people knew of you but hadn't actually seen you, you went on to have your jersey retired in 2010 at LSU. You then had your jersey retired in 2022 at Minnesota. Then the following year had a whole statue on LSU's campus, and not just a statue, it was the first female athlete ever portrayed on campus in statue form. What would you say about your own journey?
I never thought. You know, you always think about, oh, I want my jersey retired, because that's like, you can see that, like, you know, in anybody's gym at any given time. But like a statue, no way did I think a statue would happen. But that's because the times change, and, you know, people are ready to award people their flowers. And that was like 20 years of work. Like, I did that 20 years ago. Yeah, you imagine getting a check for some work you did, or getting some type of notoriety for some work you did 20 years ago? Like, I never could have imagined. But, you know, experiencing that day, being able to tell those stories about my time at LSU and see the laughter of, you know, former players, teammates, season ticket holders, and then you walk outside and it's like, it felt like the city of Baton Rouge was there. And I was just like, man, you know, what that meant to the community. Like, so many people, like, when you go to Louisiana, if you ever go down there, I'm gonna have so many cousins. Everybody is my cousin. Like, and some of them are, but most of them aren't. But that's how it is. It's like one big family. So a lot of these people saw me grow up. They saw me bouncing the ball down the street at whatever local, you know, rec center. So they have so many fond memories and stories that they just like, it meant so much to so many people that I'm just like in awe.
Yeah. Well, I want to read you something. We were talking about inspiration earlier, and I feel like you use social media to inspire. And I came across your daily mantra: I am flowing with faith. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Life is good to me. Why is this your daily mantra?
You know, people can lose sight of the present moment, and life is a flow. It's a constant ebb and flow, up and down, up and down. And you have to, like, continuously remind yourself, like, I'm where I'm meant to be, regardless of what the circumstances are, whether it's good or bad. It's always some good in that bad. Like, you lose a job. Well, it might hurt, you know, maybe financially it sets you back a little bit, but that wasn't your job. And something better always shows up. Has it not in your life and anybody else's life? When you think about it, life hasn't gotten worse. It's gotten better if you continue to pursue it in a manner in which it flows with God, universe, or whatever your higher being is. And so I consistently try to remind myself to stay right here and know where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Another thing from social media that I gathered is you have your Money Moan word of the day. Can we get a word of the day today?
Oh man, what is the word of the day? I posted it.
You posted it today?
I posted it today. I just love learning words. That was like something that my family always would do. Like they would use big words. I'm like, what that word mean? And I go look in the dictionary and I pull it up. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I love the fact that you can put some fancy word in an ordinary sentence and just elevate it just a little bit. And so it was just kind of like a thing, just kind of expanding my vocabulary so I could throw me a word or two out there that maybe somebody didn't know, or to be able to get in the family like back and forth so I can, do my thing. So, I mean, my mom would always say, learn something new every day. And it's as simple as learning a new word,
Well, it's okay. No pressure. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know the
after
word.
this.
I forgot the word for the day. My bad.
It's okay. Another thing that I just love about you is that you have a relationship with Shrek.
I know. She done brought up Shrek at the Hall of Fame.
I want to talk about it. For people that don't know, can you introduce Shrek?
Shrek is my donkey. For all the Shrek lovers out there, y'all don't be believing me. Shrek, leave me alone. Stop following me. I gotta keep my eye on her, just in case. And he done brought him a buddy over here, too. Hey, where you going, bro? We saved him. He's a rescue animal, actually. And my mom saved him. She paid like $100 from our neighbor. And Shrek has been with us for like 14 years now. But as of late, Shrek has been Shrekking. So, I mean, every so often I go out there, we bale hay, we do the things that we need to do to take care of them. But this last year I took off just to enjoy retirement. And so I would go to my parents' house to like walk the pond or walk the lake. And Shrek would initially walk with me. And then after a while, it became a chase. So I went from a good walk to a brisk run, trying to get away from Shrek. And most of it just kind of swirls around his feeding schedule. So every time I would go out there, I have a bucket of feed so that he could be occupied while I go on my walk. And some mornings, I'm just not in the mood, so I'm like, I'm gonna just get to my walk and feed you after. Well, on those mornings, he's not having it. And we tend to have quite the go about it, about him. Just before I got here in Knoxville, he got out, went and seen the neighbor's dog next door. Like we have the dog is like caged up. So some kind of way he got out of our yard and went over. He wasn't bothering him, just laying down next to him, having a conversation. The neighbor called like, I think Shrek is in the backyard. So we like fuss him out and he come on back around. We lock him up and he'll just like do his little noises and everything. I think I just posted my mom and him arguing not too long ago. And he mean what he say, if you can see. She like, say something else. He be like, oh. All right, Shrek.
I love it. I had to bring it up. But to bring it back around, what would you say is next for you? What are you looking into getting into, whether that's getting back into coaching or just maybe chilling out for a little bit?
I know. I so wanted to, after ball, venture off into something else, but coaching keeps coming back. And so with that, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to see what this coaching is about. So my next journey in life is probably going to be in coaching. I do have a lot to give. I have a lot to learn, obviously. Coaching is a lot different from playing, but I'm a mental person, so I love trying to figure things out, like strategy, getting preparation for a game, getting players ready for a game, just little tidbits here and there that I've learned over a course of 15 years playing pro, like to be able to kind of pass that along and help, the next generation of players, I think probably suits me more.